Today we are going to multiply radicals. When you multiply radicals, your radicands do not need to be the same in order to multiply. So you can multiply any two radicals together. What you do is you end up multiplying the outside together and then the inside together, and then if possible you reduce. So it says express the product in simplest form. Radical 2 times radical 8. Well, on the outside of those radicals, remember you have the imaginary ones. Multiply the outside. 1 times 1 is 1. Radical 2 times 8 is 16. Hopefully you know the square root of 16 is 4. Times 1 is just 4. For the next one, radical 1/3 times radical 24. Well, multiply the outside, you get a 1. We don't need to show that. Then you multiply 1/3 times 24, you get 8. 8 is not, radical 8 can break down, so we have to break it down further. 8 breaks down to 4 and 2. Oops. And then 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. Circle up your pairs, so you have a pair of 2's can go on the outside. Radical, and you have a 2 left over. So 2 radical 2 is your final answer there. Now for this next one, if you were to type it in your calculator, you need to type it very carefully because it is possible to type these things in and sometimes you get nice answers. But I do not recommend just typing it in your calculator as it is right now. What I recommend doing when you have something squared like that is to expand it. So it'll be 3 radical 3 times 3 radical 3. Now it looks more like the first two problems we did. Multiply the outsides and the insides. 3 times 3 is 9. Radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9 on the inside there. Square root of 9 we know is a 3, so this is just 9 times 3, which is 27. For this next piece, we have to use the distributive property. We need to multiply radical 8 into both pieces. So radical 8 times 6 is 6 radical 8. Plus, radical 8 times radical 2 is radical 16. From above, we already know that radical 8 can break down. It breaks down to 2 radical 2. So this radical 8 right here needs to have a 2 on the outside times the 6 to give us a 12 radical 2 plus radical 16 is 4. Now we cannot add these together because the 4 does not have a radical 2 with it. So your final answer is just 12 radical 2 plus 4. They cannot combine. This next problem we have to remember to FOIL. Okay, with FOIL you first do the front. Radical 5 times radical 5 is radical 25 plus outer. Negative 2c times radical 5 is going to actually be minus 2c radical 5. And then the I is inner plus 2c radical 5. And L's last. 2c times negative 2c is negative 4c squared. We will simplify what we can here. Negative 2c radical 5 plus 2c radical 5 cancels out. Radical 25 is 5 minus 4c squared. Now just like with the previous problem, the 4 has a c squared with it, so it cannot combine with the 5. So that's your final answer there. Now this next one looks a little difficult, but it's actually not as bad as we think. What we are going to end up doing first is we are going to multiply the first two pieces together, get an answer, and then multiply that answer by 7 plus radical 9 afterwards. So multiplying the first two together is with FOIL. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times, well wait. I just noticed something. This is actually even easier than we think because look at this. Here, let me erase. What I said to do is not wrong. However, I just found out something. I just saw something even easier. You know the square root of 9 is 3. So, all those square root of 9s, I'm just going to change to a 3 right now. 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 plus 3 is 10. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100, times 4 is 400. And that's your final answer there. So that one ended up being a lot easier than we thought. Now this last question I'm actually going to skip. It would take us a while to get through, and I'm not going to worry about it for tomorrow. However, you guys can work on the 3 do now problems right now.